libro traficante. Welcome to Nuestra Palabra, Latinos having their say. This is a live stream featuring the fantastic author, Veronica Chapa. We're going to talk about her book, Malinalli. First of all, thank you for joining us. Wonderful to get to talk.
Thank you for inviting me, Tony. It's lovely to be here.
And we're so excited because folks will get to hear you read from your fantastic book here in Houston on Malinalli Day, which will be Tuesday, March 25th. The city of Houston is proclaiming a Malinalli Day. We're about to tell you why that's important and why this book is getting that special attention. But we also want to know that you can meet Veronica in person, and that'll be that evening, March 25th, 7 p.m. at the Houston Community College East Side Campus, 6815 Rusk. Admission is free. And I want to talk about this fantastic book. It's Malinalli. It is breathing life into this figure that has been maligned. So if you're watching, you've probably heard the term Malinche or La Malinche. I want you to all look at each other, right? Who's called each other that? And it means things like traitor or sellout. But here's this figure that's historically been blamed for the fall of the Aztec Empire. Surely smallpox played a role in it. Surely the Mexica Empire, taking from other cultures at the time had a role in that. There's so much complexity there that's been overlooked. Veronica's book breathes life into this figure in such a powerful way. And what I want to start off with by saying is that, especially during Women's History Month, especially at this time, just to utter the name Malinalli, that is the indigenous name of this figure. And what I want you to take away is that in this political climate, if someone tells us to go back where we came from, you can hold up the book Malinalli and say, we've been here thousands of years. Veronica, congratulations on this book.
Thank you.
I have a feeling you didn't pick that name lightly. Tell us about the significance of titling your debut novel Malinalli.
Thank you, Tony. It was a process. Like the writing of this book was a long, hard journey for me. And to land with her name on the book, which sounds like the most logical starting place, it was not. I had all these different kinds of titles with like the obsidian mirror and more kind of like romantic, titles and just different flavors and just a wall filled with notes and post-it notes. And then finally it's the world before her meeting with Hernán Cortés. It's her world through her eyes. It's her voice. And it's Malinalli. So it took us a while to get here, and I'm just thrilled to see it on the cover of the book, and it's just it's magical.
And that is the power of art, because like you're saying, it seems obvious after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to talk about other renditions of this figure, but they used other names. Additionally, you're coming from a New York publisher that might say people won't get it. And it is so powerful for a Mexican-American woman to breathe life into this figure and to mark that during Women's History Month. On that note, we do want to pay homage to the other earlier versions of writers writing about this figure. And I do want to give a shout out to Chicanas, who during the 70s demanded that this figure be brought back to a historical perspective. And I want to give a shout out to some of our dear friends as well. There's the anthology Entre Guadalupe y Malinche, Tejanas in Literature and Art. And that was edited by Inés Hernández Ávila and our dear friend Norma Elia Cantu, which of course is an homage to that tradition and that work. Really recently, our friend Michelle Otero has a brilliant chapbook that is titled Malinche's Daughters, and she delves into those topics as well. I also want to give a shout out to a wonderful exhibit that was touring recently. I got to see it in San Antonio. It was titled The Legacy of La Malinche, Traitor, Survivor Icon. The catalog book is from the Denver Art Museum and Yale University Press. The National Endowments for Humanities funded that. I also want to give shout out to the Brown Foundation for fueling that. Got to visit it when it was there at the San Antonio Museum. The book is beautiful. But notice, I mean, the title was La Malinche, and inside are some other poems by other Chicanas who we know, including our dear friend Carmen Tafoya. But I mention all that because there's that legacy. You know, here are folks that we know that chose the name La Malinche for different reasons. You landed on Malinalli, and I also want to point out that this has been an image that has been following us. We chatted a little bit. You also mentioned that the course of researching this book has brought you closer to your Chicana identity. I think that is vital. And, you know, most folks don't realize that we are born Mexican American. We have to choose to be Chicano or Chicano. Can you tell us a little about your own identity journey as you did all the research for this powerful book?
As we spoke earlier, when I decided I had enough research that I could start, the earliest of early versions. I couldn't sit at the computer and write. I took out a giant sketch pad that I had, and I picked up a pencil, and I basically started writing. I didn't feel connected. And as I started writing, I mean, even before I sat down to do this, I wasn't certain that I should be writing this book and that I had a right to write this book. And I sat down, and every time in the early days when I picked up my pencil to write, I would offer a prayer to the Virgin of Guadalupe, a Hail Mary, literally a Hail Mary, and also to the goddess Tonantzin. And I would just say, I'm trying to do this, and guide me, take care of my family, and then I was off. And there was a ritual that I performed every time I sat down to write her story. And it took, I'll just be blunt, it took years for me, years of research, years of rewriting, and just trying to really get to sit in her, trying to sit in her place. People think it's like her life started, with Cortés, and it did not. So I take you from basically her birth, presenting this world, and making you feel it, taste it, see it, smell it, experience it in full. I wanted to ground you in enough of the history, but also as I was doing my research, and because there's very little written about her, there's very little, the testimonials about what happened, when Cortés met Montezuma and the conquest. So my research was around, I had to research around the event, with the lives of women, because this is through her eyes, and it's the lives of the women around her, and what they're going through. Because I saw this extraordinary woman, standing between these two crazy alpha males, Cortés and Montezuma, and not only was she speaking to them, interpreting for them, she was speaking for them. And for a woman to be in that position in that time, where you're basically raised to, you know, keep your eyes down and your mouth, you know, shut, even though women were very powerful, and, you know, in their home and in their way, still public, she had to perform a different way. And this Malinalli did not. So I wanted to capture her strength, her power, her courage, and how she dealt with these two men, and what in her early years would give her the force up to be able to stand there and to command that attention, and to you know, try to keep everyone alive, because you know that the two of them, those two guys, just wanted to attack, hurt, you know, trying to figure out what's the best angle of dealing with this problem. So
that's a great way to put it, especially historically. And I love that you were presented that image of Cortés and Moctezuma and Malinalli, whereas the rest of the world was focused on the, you know, toxic males. You humanized the figure. You know, I think we as Chicanos too, we empathize with that power to translate, and here you breathe life into it too. I also want to point something out to other folks too, as we talk about this. This is a time-honored tradition. You know, this reminds me of the Greeks talking about the muses, and, you know, if there's 9 muses, you were communing with Cleo, you know, the muse of history, and reinterpreting it.
mm-hmm.
Why can those other cultures be entitled to that process and not us?
Mm-hmm.
I love that you've broken that mold and taken us into that. On that note, I understand that you're privileging us with the international debut of a reading from Malinalli, a Nuestra Palabra exclusive, breaking news. Would you be so kind as to share some of the prose from Malinalli, your novel?
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and like Tony, as Tony just said, this is I have never read. I haven't had a reading yet, so this is my first one. What I'm about to read is after she's been gifted, handed over to Cortés along with 19 other women, and some gold and some cloth. And she's now they're on Cortés's ship, going along the coast to what will become Veracruz. And they've been baptized. It's like no one. She's just been baptized, and here goes. I was renamed Marina, like Malina, but with a slight rolling of the tongue, caught as if by rocks, there in the middle, a sound neither I nor any of the women could make. We tried and tried, but Malina was all we could give voice to. Their name for me was a bludgeoned version of Malinalxochitl, which I'd heard their plumed leader pronounce and mangle more than once. Cortés reduced all of our names to grunts and squeaks. Maya and Nahua are languages of pure music, but the white men's coarse, lazy tongues were lost inside of our flowing rhythms. Marina meant of the sea, but I did not care for it. The people of my land did not accept it, just as they didn't accept my given name, my true name, Malinalli. Malinalxochitl, they all continued to say.
I love it. That is powerful. And thank you so much for sharing that prose first with us. I think it evokes so many things. And as you mentioned, the writing is crystal clear. You convey a lot of emotions. There's a historical basis, but at the same time, You're writing in a really powerful tradition. We mentioned the Greeks. I usually don't like this type of fiction. I started reading more of it, and I think it was one of the more recent ones that was it Eurystheus? I'm going to remember the Greek.
Or Circe?
Circe.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Miller.
I wasn't. I was just going to read it to give it a chance, and Circe blew me away. So here we are in this era that accepts Circe. I want to give a challenge to our supporters, to the folks that are listening and watching, and Nuestra Palabra. Back in, I think it was 2006, we've hosted another work that sought to bring to life Malinalli. It was by the best-selling author of Like Water for Chocolate, Laura Esquivel, una mexicana. Her book was called Malinche, and there's that what we talked about earlier. The book was called Malinche from a major New York publisher, and it was not a bestseller. And if we're going to talk about what America consumes, I also remember, I think it was about 1980, there was a book called Aztec by Gary Jennings. And that was a huge bestseller at the time. But here is an Anglo male who writes about our culture. And even the term Aztec, it goes back to how we're saying what the title can imply. That's the most generic version of all these cultures. And yet there was an appetite for that back then. There were 4 subsequent books as well. They really melt that. I say all that because I want us to understand that, yes, this is a key moment in time, not just the political climate. Here in Texas, it is more challenging to get books by and about our people into schools. We were once fighting just to get Mexican American studies implemented. Now we're just trying to keep libraries open. Additionally, there are other laws that are stifling voices. And here we have a Mexican American woman reviving this historical figure in a powerful way. And also, it's during Women's History Month when we really need this voice, and you do it with such cariño. Does any of this history weigh on you, or has it influenced how you're writing about this? Do you feel the pressure and power of this moment historically?
Of course I do. As a woman here with living in the United States with the turmoil that's going on and the fear, it's striking. And it's like as I was researching the book, looking for, I truly became lost in another world. I think as a writer, right now it's so, I have lived with Malinalli for such a long time that to have her, to see her out in the public, to see her on the cover of a book, to see her within these pages is like almost jarring to me. But during the writing of certain passages, I truly felt I would be at my computer and writing certain scenes. Like I have a scene where she's praying to the goddesses for help, and I'd be in tears because of what was, sorry, of what I was trying to convey. And I would think back to my grandmother.
Thank you for putting your heart out for us, because that's what's at stake right now. That's why I think your book speaks to us. So thank you for your tears right now, but all your hard work and that love of our cultura and literature to breathe life into this book over so many years. Thank you for putting your heart right out there for us.
Thank you. I was just thinking of my grandmother, and whenever we left her home in Guadalajara, or when she would leave our house in Chicago, and she would she would bless us. And I'd never seen grown men, including my father, kneeled to someone outside of church, and they did for my grandmother all the time. So when she would give us her benediction, so it's like it's that feeling that of female strength, and it's like, again, it's like you've got these two men operating in this world of the very, we think of the Mexica and the Mesoamerican culture as being just patriarchal, predominantly patriarchy. And as I was researching, and I'm discovering these myths and these creation stories, and the stories not just of gods but of goddesses, very fierce powers, that it just, it blew me away that, why aren't we writing about this? So it was with intention that that I brought some of these myths into this book, and I wove them in, so people could see that it's like women were powerful figures, and they and they were feared, as this the woman who Malinalli thinks that she has a connection with, and that she could be an avatar for, and that avatar is a modern term, but that she might be the one who's supposed to carry on and seeking justice for something that was done in the past, to right the wrongs, and to bring feminine power back into its position. If not shared, then supreme. So as I'm still trying to get used to being out in public and relaying my my intentions for the book. So forgive me, but
Not at all.
it's really close to my heart.
No, your eloquence is touching, and you evoking la bendición reminds me of my late mom as well. And we need that in literature. We need our youth to see that and be proud of our past. And you're doing that. It really is an honor to have you on our show. We so look forward to you convening with your new familia here in Houston, Texas. We're so happy that Houston has the wherewithal to declare March 25th Malinalli Day in all of Houston. We want to thank the City Council Representatives Mario Castillo, who's the head of the Houston Arts Committee. And we've also got support from Councilman Ramirez, Julian Ramirez, and also Joaquin Martinez, as well as Mayor Whitmire. And they'll be joining us that afternoon, as you will as well. And that evening, you're going to run into a whole lot of familia here in Houston, Texas. Tuesday, March 25th, 7 p.m. at the Houston Community College Eastside Campus, 6815 Rusk. There's covered parking for free right across the presentation center, and admission is free. I want to thank all of our supporters, including the BIPOC Arts Network and Fund, as well as the law offices of Carolina Ortuzardias PLLC for making it free. And we hope you will take advantage of meeting Veronica Chapa. You've been so generous with your brilliance, and we cannot wait to receive you here in Houston, Texas. Continued success, and we're waiting for you here.
Gracias, Tony. Thank you very much. I can't wait.
Thank you.